we live in a society where violence is increasingly apparent on the streets, and where we all stand a good chance of having to face it at one point or other. If one is attacked oneself, or if one sees a friend or someone one loves or a weaker person attacked, the immediate response, which can also need courage, is to go and help, to meet violence with violence. But if one accepts that this is all right, then what when social, religious, racial or political groups are attacked? It would be very easy in this instance to justify teaching the ex-untouchables in India how to defend themselves, not just as individuals, but as a community. And soon one is on very dangerous ground. Is there a middle way here, a positive response to violence that lies between turning the other cheek and meeting violence with violence? I think there is a middle way. Just to deal with that part of the question directly, I think there is a middle way, but it's a rather long-term solution of a middle way, and that is to build yourselves up and make yourselves as a community, as a group, sufficiently strong so that others will think twice about attacking you. For instance, in India, there's a quite large community, almost a separate religion, called the Sikhs. People always think twice about attacking a Sikh. Why? Because it's well known that if a Sikh is attacked, all the other Sikhs in the vicinity will at once go to his rescue and will attack whoever attacked him. That's well known. So people tend to keep their hands off the Sikhs. And I think as far as the ex-untouchable Buddhists in India are concerned, they'll have to build up that sort of reputation. It's not going to be easy, and certainly as Buddhists one can't recommend violence. Looking to the sort of general question, or the general situation, one can only say that one must imbibe as much as possible the principle of non-violence. One can't, as it were, think about non-violence on the spot, or about violence on the spot. You will respond spontaneously. One cannot say that one should respond with violence, but if you've imbued the principle of non-violence only to a limited extent, then with violence you will respond. If one does respond with violence, even, so to speak, justifiable violence, I think one has to recognize in retrospect that that was not very skillful, but perhaps was only the most skillful or least unskillful thing that one could do in the circumstances, and that one should devote oneself to bettering the overall situation so that that kind of less unskillful action can be replaced by something more skillful. It's a very difficult and complex situation. At present, I don't think the ex-untouchables have got anything to gain by retaliating and returning violence with violence, simply because they're a minority. They're usually scattered. There's a few hundred of them where there may be a few thousand caste Hindus, or a few dozen of them where there may be hundreds of caste Hindus. They've been distributed around in this sort of way. But where in some of the big cities that they have got large groups, they do not tend to be attacked. But only when they're in the minority. So perhaps one of the solutions is, though it's a difficult one, that the ex-untouchables should group themselves together in large communities and large groups in the cities, away from the rural areas where they are most threatened. In the big cities where there are lots of ex-untouchables living together, I think it's unlikely that they would be attacked. But one can't guarantee that. But I don't see any sort of easy solution to this, any more than I see an easy solution to the problem of violence in the world generally. It is quite a problem. What is a non-violent person to do in a violent world? What is a dove to do in the jungle? Well, even the Bible says a word of truth here. Be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. I think you can only afford to practice non-violence if you're a very clever, not to say crafty person. Yeah, I think the innocently non-violent person is probably going to suffer. Yeah? You've got to be quite crafty to avoid situations of violence, to evade them. Yeah? So especially so long as you are the weaker party. Yeah? So this isn't really, in a way, very inspiring or very encouraging, but I think we have to be quite, as it were, realistic. But I do think that, as the Buddhist movement in India grows and expands, and the Buddhists there, the ex-untouchable Buddhists, become stronger in every way, including economically, and gain more and more influential positions in society. Perhaps themselves even become policemen and magistrates and so on. Well, then there'll be less likelihood of injustice, including violence, perpetrated on the ex-untouchables.